One of my favorite Christmas memories is baking cookies with my mom and my sisters. And we would bake dozens and dozens of cookies. The entire table would be full, and Christmas music would be on, and it was just the smell of love, I think.
Christmas was always very exciting in our house. One thing that I remember, since I was as young as I can remember, we would get stockings on Christmas Eve and always beg to open one gift, which rarely happened. But one other thing that we did is we always drove around on Christmas Eve and we looked at all the Christmas lights and things like that. So just a really neat time with the family.
Favorite Christmas memory has to be my parents' manger scene. My mom would put it out every year when we'd set up for Christmas, and she had all the little characters in it, and we would fight, my two brothers and I would fight over who got to set it up first. And then it became humorous because I was the youngest. I have two older brothers, and they would go around and move whatever I had put in place, and they would hide pieces from me, and I would get so upset when I was little. So then Mom had to make it every day. It was somebody else's turn to rearrange the manger scene, and we got very creative. We had goats in all kinds of places, and donkeys were up on the roof, and the angel laid in the manger, and you know, it kind of got creative after a while, but I still think of that every year when I pull out my manger scene.
I was in 3rd grade, and we were visiting my grandparents in Virginia for Christmas, and we had the entire family there, so it took us like 4 hours to open presents Christmas morning. But then my cousin and I ran out to the barn, and we found baby goats there that were born on Christmas morning. So we got to name them Cinnamon and Nutmeg, and that's just one of those things I remember from holidays.
I think I was probably 8, 9 years old, something like that maybe. I have 2 younger sisters, and we begged and begged the Christmas before for Cabbage Patch Kids for Christmas. And my parents weren't unable to get a hold of them that Christmas because they sold out, and we were all so disappointed. So the second year we were hoping, and we searched the whole house up and down to find the Cabbage Patch Kids that we were waiting desperately for. And we found a big trash bag in their closet tied up, and we found our Cabbage Patch Kids, and we had to pretend that we didn't know about them the morning of Christmas. But that was still a wonderful memory because that came true the second year in a row.
As a child, I think some of my favorite memories were Christmas Eve, the Kale Christmas, which was my side of the family, with my grandma and grandpa. We would all get together and just hang out as a family, and there was always special treats from grandma and grandpa, and those were some of the sweetest memories I remember.
One of my favorite Christmas memories is laying in bed at my grandmother's in a 2-story house, and I always got to sleep in my mother's room from when she grew up, and being able to look out the door and see the Christmas tree, the topper, the star, and so just getting to fall asleep watching the star on top of the Christmas tree. It's really cool.
Some of my favorite Christmas memories have to deal with my children. I have 3, and one year when we lived in Arkansas, our house was laid out such that the fireplace was in the middle between the dining room and the great room. And we had left cookies and milk for Santa. And as Tiffany and Natalie got up that morning, my husband was back showering in the bathroom, and somehow it made a noise in the pipes. And so it sounded just like it was from the chimney, and that Santa was scurrying back up, and that was, I heard Santa, he was here. It's a great memory.
My favorite Christmas memory, I remember as a child, we went Christmas caroling to neighbors, and it was fun. It was lots of fun. We sang our hearts out. We weren't good, didn't matter, didn't care, but we tromped around in the snow and went from neighbors to neighbors, and it was just something we did. We loved it. And then we laughed. We still do that today as adults. Now we're all, my brothers and sisters and their spouses and the children, hey, let's go caroling. Okay. So we all get together and we go to the neighborhood and we sing, and it's just fun. And we just laugh and then come back with hot chocolate and cookies and things like that. Also one of the best memories also is probably making cookies.
I think a Christmas memory would be the joy of going Christmas caroling. I love to go carol people, especially shut-ins, and see the joy that just comes out on their face when they hear music.
Well, one was when I was little. My mom was alive, and all my brothers and sisters were together. And we got a chance to be together before she died. She died when I was 6 years old. So that was one of the best Christmas ever. And then after that, you know, Christmas is Christmas, but I love Christmas. Christmas is the best time of year for me. I like to get the tree up and do all that. But that was the best time that I remember my Christmas when my mom was alive. She was a very quiet type of person, and she was just quiet, and I would watch her sometimes, you know. I miss it. But she was so quiet, and to have all 6 of us together, you know. And she loved us, every last one of us. She just loved us. She just had a big heart. That's all I knew, is she had a big heart, and I could see that she loved us all.
I always think of my childhood Christmas, and it was wonderful because my mom made it so incredible. I think of first outside. We grew up out in the country in the mountains, and I loved going outside at night and seeing the silent mountains and the purple shadows across the snow and the snow glistening from the shining of the stars and the moon. And I always thought that was so beautiful. And then inside, of course, the house was totally decorated and maxed out, which is like no surprise. But what I loved the most that we did was we would join hands. My dad was raised in Norway, and the tradition there was to sing around the Christmas tree. And we always had a real big tree, and we would, all 6 of us, join hands with Mom and Dad and go around the tree and sing carols. And that was really special. All of us together holding hands and singing together. I would love to do that again someday.
Christmas traditions are different from family to family. One of the main things that we do every Christmas morning is, or whenever our Christmas is, as your family grows, you find Christmas Day is not always Christmas Day, but it's still Christmas. When I hear the slightest rustle of anybody, I'm up and I begin to make homemade hot chocolate, so that when we sit down, everyone has a steaming mug of, it's Grandpa's recipe, it's an eyeball recipe. You know, it looks like this, and you add a little this, and then we sit around and we tell the Christmas story, and we have prayer before we do any Christmas packages. And then whoever does the gift giving has to wear a funky old Santa hat, and then we have a great time together.
Christmas tradition, we always go out the day after Thanksgiving with our sons, and we go find our tree and cut it down and haul it home and put it up. We still do this with my sons. We started when they were very little, and we would have all the lights off except, you know, the tree, and we would play, we called it the ornament game, and we'd say, you know, okay, I see something green or red, and then the other people had to guess which ornament it was we were talking about. And you can imagine, because how many green and red and gold and ornaments are on the tree. But that was just a fun game that we kind of made up and did with the boys when they were little.
Just sit by the tree and turn off all the other lights in the house and just enjoy each other.
We do a scavenger hunt, and I put all kinds of clues in there. Sometimes I use Easter eggs. We get real confused in our house. Just whatever, you know, little boxes or whatever, and I'll put little clues in, usually rhyming clues, because that's what my kids have had to grow up with. Mrs. Seuss, that's me. And so we would put little, I would put little rhyming clues, and they would have to run and try to find their gifts, and then they'd come back and unwrap them and then get the next one and go on. So 17 and 14 years old, they still beg to do that.
A tradition that we've carried on in our family, my mom, every year on Christmas Eve, we would open one gift, And it became the family joke that we already knew what it was, but every year we all got matching PJs that we opened every year at Christmas. And when we were little, we thought it was the stupidest thing in the world that we were all matching. And then when we were teenagers especially, we didn't like it at all. But now I do it with my kids, and it's something that we've carried over every year.
With my kids, it's been you get a Christmas ornament every year that kind of encompasses your whole year. For my son Logan, it was the year that he did football. He got a football ornament, and just to commemorate, and I always put the year on it so that they know why they have that. Just from Mom, I make everybody something. And it's been anything from a pillow or a really cheesy scarf to when Danae turned 13 and was a big girl, she got her own laundry hamper that was painted to match her bedroom and had stickers with her name. And it's just kind of fun every year to see where people are and what I can do for them to make it special.
Okay, one of our traditions that we do, that my parents did for us, is every Christmas Eve, we hide the kids' stockings. So on Christmas morning, they can wake up and find their stockings. And I never really understood why my parents did that until I was a parent. And extra sleep is really nice on Christmas morning. So we try to hide them in good spots that take them a little while to find.
I think some of my favorite traditions with my family, my mother, we grew up in a single parent home, and one of the things my mom tried to do was to instill some kind of family unity during Christmas, especially without our father. And so she was big into Advent, the big Advent wreath and reading and all this stuff, and we really didn't like it too much as kids. But the one thing I carried over to my children was the Advent wreath and the big traditions of the Advent. And so we do the Advent wreath, and then there are 3 Advent books that we rotate: Jotham's Journey, Bartholomew's Passage, and Tabitha's Travel. And we've done that since our youngest, I think, was 2 when we started it. And we just rotate those every year, and exciting Advent stories that lead us right to the manger and being able to worship and keep the focus on the real reason of Christmas.
Oh, Christmas traditions, family. I cannot remember a Christmas where we did not spend time with family. We would always go to my mother's parents, and we have a very large family. And just being around the dinner table and singing carols and listening to my grandmother would play the organ. And a fun tradition was there was always packages from the dog patches.
The Christmas tradition that I do for our family is that we wait till midnight to open up gifts. And everybody's excited about it at midnight. We're gonna open our gifts up at midnight. But the most important thing about our Christmas is that we all be together. Now that the kids have gotten bigger, everybody's spread it out around, but just the ones in the house, we still keep the same tradition. We wait till midnight, Christmas Eve, and we sit up and we talk, and we reminisce, and we open up what we have. We just thank God for just having us together.
Our traditions is, of course, gathering together as a family and coming to the Christmas Eve service, and then hopping in the car. We all get in and travel around the Fort Wayne area to see Christmas lights. I have a family that's out in Idaho, and we do the same thing out there. Attend Christmas Eve service, and that's such a blessing to do that together as a family. And then seeing the joy and the excitement on the children as they see the lights. Nowadays it's different because many families have music along with the lights. And so you have to stay there in the car or get out with your lawn chair and watch the whole thing to the end. That's fun. That's what we enjoyed. We come back, then we have hot chocolate and Christmas cookies that I baked. And when I put my head on the pillow that night, I just thank you, Lord, for a good time of fellowship, just being with family and being able to come and be a part of the Christmas Eve service. That's what it's all about.
We have a nice tradition that we've had for years, and it's kind of a living tradition when I think back on it. But it's a memory keepsake that we have always done family photos. After all the dust settles from wrapping gifts and laughing and singing, and everybody kind of settles down. Oh, family photo time! So we all get in our pose, and it's always different. Sometimes along the stairway, sometimes just behind the sofa, around, you know, chairs. But we group together, and then we put the timer on the camera, and then quick sit in there and, you know, say your picture. So it's always such a wonderful memory. It's almost like a little capsule of the evening. But we've had one throughout the years, probably for the last 30, 35 years, as the family changes, grows, additions, you know. My mom had died 6 years ago, and it's always, we had that memory and treasure it so much, but for the last 6 years, she hasn't been with us. And it's accidentally, the first 2 or 3 years that she wasn't with us, we accidentally had something in the photo that was hers. We didn't realize until we saw the picture later, it's like, there's Mom, that's her something. She was still with us, and it gave us such a really sweet, we felt this spirit, because she was such a wonderful, loving, sweet lady. Everybody who knows her and met her just adored her. She was such a gracious lady, real sweetheart. But we still keep that memory alive, taking the family photos at the end of our Christmas celebration together, and we just treasure them and look forward to that. That's something that we'll never let go.
I know everybody says it, but I'd have to say my family. I love my kids. They are so great. They put a smile on my face every day, even when one second I want to rip my hair out with them, the next second they make me laugh and smile, and they're great. I love my kids.
My mom will be here. This will be the first time to have her at our house for Christmas, so that is going to be an awesome thing for this Christmas.
I'm thankful for a family. Thankful that they're Christians. I'm thankful that we have the opportunity to come and worship. Being able to worship, I can't imagine what it would be like to live in other countries, not be able to do what we do. Thankful for a great husband. Thankful for our church family and our church and the staff. I wouldn't know what it would be like to not have these things. I'm thankful for that precious little baby, most of all, that came down and was born in that simple little old manger. He came for me. That's what it's all about.
Oh, I am thankful for a lot. Most thankful for, I would say, forgiveness, grace, reconciliation, and restoration.
Andrew is definitely a miracle, and Christmas always brings it up. My youngest son is 14 years old, Andrew, and he was born very prematurely. He was due March 18th and was born January 5th. So this time of year always brings that back, and he just basically, in a nutshell, he was not supposed to survive, and if he did, we were told that he would be a vegetable his entire life. He would never eat on his own. He would never, possibly not breathe on his own. He had a 66% chance of having cerebral palsy or mental retardation. And the Lord decided, to our bewilderment still, to miraculously heal him within a year of his birth. And so he went from we went from being told that we were going to be basically living at Riley Hospital to having never visited Riley Hospital. So he is just a living, walking, breathing miracle, and I thank God for that every day.
I am most thankful for the gift of life in my family and just Jesus' birth. I mean, without that, life would be very different. So I'm very thankful for the gift of life. Zane came to us as a surprise. We spent a long time waiting for the gift of life for our own family. And Zane came to us and was a complete gift from God, and 6 weeks later he was in our arms and he's ours. So he is an extra special gift of life for us.
Christmas memories and traditions all about family. And I don't remember a lot about when I was a small child, except for the time my mother bought me a watch, and I searched the house and couldn't find it, and she had put it in the bottom of the dirty clothes basket because she knew I wouldn't go there to look. But
memories of going to Grandma's house, and the most fun place to be because I got to be with cousins and family that we don't get together with during the year very much. So we kind of carried that on as when Jim and I got married. It was hard to set up a tradition within our own home other than being in the Christmas program and singing in the cantatas and being active in all the church activities, because our parents were in different cities, and so we would get up on Christmas Eve and head down to Jim's folks and spend Christmas Eve dinner there. And Grandma always had a piñata, and the kids loved piñatas, and I can still see them blindfolded swinging that bat around. And just be careful. One Christmas, our oldest daughter, Kathy, had moved to Florida and wasn't going to get to come home for Christmas. And without me knowing it, she did come home, and they wrapped her up. And they walked her in as this big package, and I was sitting there. And as she burst out of that thing, of course, you know, Grandmother did, she bawled. But that was a fun thing too, but fun with at Grandma's house. Then we would get up the next morning, have a little breakfast, and take off, go 4 hours over to Illinois to my folks. And then we would have Christmas again, all over again, with cousins. Laughter, so much fun, the kids running and playing, the adults talking and sharing what's happened through the years, or through the year that we hadn't seen each other for a while. And it was just family. It was family. It was good stuff. But you know, it all comes back around to the birth of Christ. Down from his glory, ever-living story. My God and Savior came, and Jesus was his name. Oh, how I love him. And so our Christmas is family. That's what it's all about, family and loving one another. We sit back now and watch our kids as they set up their traditions and make their home what they want it to be. And my thankfulness comes in that I know that they're all loving and serving Jesus Christ.
The beginning of 2013 was an interesting year. One morning my husband came out and held up both of his arms, and I immediately noticed a mass, probably about the size of an egg, underneath his left arm. And of course, I'm weepy, as you can see. I weep easily, and I immediately cried thinking, the worst. And so over the next week and a half, he went through tests and determined that there were some suspicious cells and suspected lymphoma. And that began the cancer journey. In February, he had a bone marrow biopsy, and that's the real determining factor of what you have, and he was diagnosed with mantle cell lymphoma. And mantle cell lymphoma is a rare cancer, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 cases a year, but not rare enough that they don't have studies on it and have developed treatment. So he went through 4 very aggressive rounds of treatment here at Lutheran Hospital, and I can't say enough for the nursing staff. The doctors are great, but when you have nurses who actually put their hands on you and are there in the trenches with you throughout the hours, we were very blessed. And so after that, in order to assure the best humanly possible things for this cancer not to return, his doctor suggested that he go to the University of Nebraska, where they specialize in treating mantle cell lymphoma. And so we made that journey in June of 2013, and he underwent 6 days of aggressive chemotherapy, and they really bring you to the end of your life, and then you pray that your body will restart itself. And I just remember dark days there as it was cloudy outside, truly, and dark and stormy. It was dark and stormy on the inside, but I can tell you that God never failed us. His presence was real. You know, the beauty is that you can cry out to the Lord at any time, day or night, it doesn't matter, and he is always there. And he did answer our prayer. For this time, I don't know what the future holds, and you can really get caught up in thinking, what if? And that's what Satan likes to do. Well, what if this happens? Well, what if this doesn't happen? What if it comes back? You know, it might come back, but that doesn't diminish the fact that God was with us at that time, and we believe that he had his hand upon Scott and touched him and allowed medication to work. And if it comes back, we're going to praise him just the same and trust him just the same. So I'm thankful that I get Scott this Christmas and that he gets to hold a new grandson. And when tragedy comes or difficult times come, I may not be any different than anyone else, but I take where we are and I immediately go to the very end. I had him in a casket. I knew what I was going to bury him in. I'm thinking, what is life going to be like without him? But God has to remind you, you don't know that. You stay right here and you deal with the moment. And God was faithful to help us. And he keeps reminding me that he loves me and he's got this whole thing in his hands.
I am just thankful that I know that at any time, day or night, I can call out to my God. And he is there. And he is listening and he's ready and always loving me. And that's what I'm thankful for.
I was thinking the other day, I was thinking about when I had cancer and stuff like that, how he took that and dealt with that, you know. It's so much. I just thank him for everything. I can't put a point on where I'm thankful at. I'm just thankful that he loves me. And like Pastor Brady was talking about today, yes, sometimes I look in the mirror and I just say, he loves me. He loves me, you know, and so that's so special. So yeah, I'm just thankful.